Hi guys, it's Megan here. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and if you're returning, welcome back. Today we're going to do a mat Pilates workout using the magic circle, or I like to call it the ring of fire. So all we need is just the magic circle ring in your mat. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to start sitting, and we're going to start with our legs out, just about hip distance apart. And you want to sit high on your sits bones, so sitting up really nice and tall, lengthening through that spine, and then our ring will come right in front of us. So we're going to start with it overhead. Think about really reaching tall, lengthening that spine, and then folding forward from the waistline. You can tell I'm hinging forward. I'm not crunching in. I'm really trying to lengthen and reach towards that front wall, and then back up. Good. So we're just stretching out, preparing for a workout, warming up that body, lengthening that spine, and you'll feel that nice little hamstring stretch. Really stretching out those legs, because we're going to do a lot of leg work with this ring. Good. And up. And now let's go ahead and rotate towards that left side, and you're just going to reach that ring towards the outside of that ankle, still lengthening. And back up and center. Inhale, and then exhale as you lengthen and reach towards that right side. And back up. So go ahead, find your own pace. Really think about stretching, using that ring, lengthening that spine, sitting tall on those sit bones. Got it. Let's go for 2. And 1. And coming on up. Good. So walk your feet in. And we're going to take our ring. You have 2 soft pads on each side. We're going to take one soft pad and place it. I'm going to start with my left leg. I'm going to bring my right leg up, and I'm going to have my foot flat. So here, I'm going to use my ring to really lengthen those muscles in the back of the leg. So really use that ring to pull back. And from here, we're just going to reach that ring up. And you can see that I'm rolling onto my tailbone. And I'm going to find that nice C curve. And I'm just going to lower and lift this ring as low and high as my hips will let me, and also that pull that the ring will allow you to have. So you want to keep that nice C curve, still lengthening through that spine or not hunched over. For 3, for 2, last one, keep it up. Now really find that C curve, and we're just going to slowly move on down. So now I'm onto my mat. Let me move my water bottle. So now I'm onto my mat, and now I can place my right leg flat. So have it long and flat. And now we're just going to really focus on this left leg. So I'm going to keep my ring in my left hand. I'm going to place my right hand out. And I'm just going to do little tiny leg circles, as much as the ring mobility will allow me. So our rings are not that long, so you're not going to get a full circle. So it's just a small little motion, but we're really warming up that bottom socket, getting that hip mobility. So you really want to try to keep your hips as steady as possible. We're just moving at that hip bone. For everything else, you want to try to keep really still. So really engage that core, lifting up on that pelvic floor for 2 and 1. Let's go the other direction. So same thing, just switching the direction, and there's still small little circles. For 3, 2, and 1. Good. Stay there. And now just allow this left leg to open up towards that left side. So just drop it on the floor, pulling into that ring. So you're really getting that nice inner thigh stretch. You can reach your right arm out towards the other side just to kind of balance you. And you want to keep your hips squared and grounded onto the mat. You don't want to lift, so you get that nice stretch. Good, just for a quick second, take a deep breath. And then we're gonna lift that ring up, still keeping our hips stationed on that mat. We're gonna switch the ring in our right hand, and we're gonna place our left hand out, and we're just gonna drop this left leg over towards that right side. As far as you can. You can let your hips lift just a little here, just so you can get a really nice stretch on that IT band or outer thigh. Nice hip abductor stretch. Engaging that core still, and try to keep your shoulders on the mat, so we're not lifting our shoulders. And bringing that leg back up to center, and then grabbing it with our left hand again. So we're gonna keep our leg in this ring, and we're just gonna come on up, and now we're gonna come onto our sides, and you can tell now I've come onto my forearm. So I'm onto my forearm, and my left leg is still in this ring. And we're just gonna bring that ring up in front and circle it around. So really pull back onto that ring, really lengthening through that leg. And just the biggest circles that you're able to do with your hip mobility, and also with what the ring's allowing you to move with. Remember, don't sink into this right shoulder. Really push through it. Lengthening through that spine, engaging that core. And now let's reverse the direction. So we're gonna sweep forward and around. Really engaging that core. So we don't want much to move. We don't wanna be moving like this. Just that hip ball and socket. For 3, for 2, and 1. Good. So now we're gonna go into a nice little side plank. So is this comfortable for you? Stay here. If you're with me, you're gonna press through this shoulder, lengthen up, and now we're just going to pull this leg up, up. Try to keep it as long as strong. Really lifting up on this right oblique. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Keep it up and just dip those hips. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come on down. Whew, good job, guys. From here, so now we're just gonna stay on our right side, but we're just going to switch our leg. So I'm gonna put my ring on the insides of my ankles. So this might take a minute to get into. So you wanna place the ring on the bottom foot inside, and then place your top foot on top. So we can still be on our forearm and really lengthen through that. And now we're just gonna pulse our top leg in. So really find that inner thigh. So think about the inner thigh doing this work rather than pushing down with the ankle. Engaging that core, lifting up on that pelvic floor, squeezing those glutes. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. From here, go into a little oblique work. So we're gonna have our forearm down, and then you're gonna push through that forearm, come onto the hand, and reach towards those feet, lifting both legs, and then rolling on down. So lengthen through that spine, push up, using those obliques to lift and back down. So a lot of muscles working here. So we're still trying to really engage those inner thighs by pushing our ankles closer towards each other. So we're really engaging that ring. And then we're using those obliques to lift us up, just like so. Good job, guys. Let's keep going. For 3, for 2, and 1. Good. Come on down and just lift those hips up and down. So you want to keep those legs in space, and find that inner oblique. So hip bone, smallest rib bone, trying to meet. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring both feet in. You can adjust your ring here, but you see I still have my feet in space, and up. So I'm still on my right hip. Try to keep your hips stacked. And we're just pushing the legs in and out. Bend and stretch. Still squeezing onto that ring. We're really activating this left oblique. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come on down. Good. Stay there. Now, place both feet inside that ring. The best way to get into this is placing both feet in. Go ahead and lie down. There we go. So getting into these rings aren't quite the easiest. You have to take your time, really focus. So now that we're there, I'm gonna place my right foot on top. Sorry, my top foot, so my left leg is on top and my bottom leg is my right foot. It's inside the ring. So now I'm gonna find that inner thigh engagement. So I'm just going to flex my foot, and now my bottom foot hits top of that ring and down. So I'm really finding inner thighs here. Still engaging that core. Good. Keep your hips stacked. Try not to roll out onto that left side. For 5, 4, 3, 2, last one, keep it up. Now trace that circle, using that inner thigh to lift and lower. For 2 and 1, let's reverse the direction, so opposite way. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. So now stay there. Now you're gonna bring your top foot in, and you're gonna place it under that ring. So both legs are inside that ring again, and we're just laying down. So you can lay onto your arm, and now we're gonna push that ring. We're gonna lift both of our hips up, squeezing out on that ring. So we're really feeling our hip abductors working here. Doesn't have to be a big motion, as high as you can get it. We're really focused and engaging our muscles. So core is on. I'm really pushing out onto that ring. So I'm pulling that ring away from each other. So I'm really trying to break it. So I'm really feeling this outer thigh working hard. And then the obliques are on again. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring it on in. Whew. Good job, guys. So let's slowly come on up. And now let's do the same thing on the other side. And let's hope I can remember all those moves. So let's start from the beginning. We're gonna place the ring now. So now my back side is gonna be facing you guys. So you can see how it's working from the back. So let's place that ring on the right foot. And I'm gonna bring my left foot up. So my left foot's flat. And we're just gonna find that nice C curve. And we're just going to lift and lower our right leg. Really pulling back onto that ring. Lengthening through the back leg. Abs are on. We're not hunched in. Think of a long neutral spine. Good. Let's go for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Keep it up. Now find that C curve and let's slowly roll on down. Good. So place your left leg flat. Put the ring in your right hand. And now we're just going to go into those nice little leg circles. So remember, they were the smallest little circles because our ring is not going to allow us to get full mobility here. So, and that's totally fine. We're just warming up that ball and socket. Try to keep everything still. We're not rolling all over our mat. Everything is nice and steady. Pelvis is nice and steady, lifting up on that pelvic floor for 2 And one. Let's reverse the direction. So same thing, and just circle it the other way. So as much as you're able to. Still keep in mind everything is nice and still. For 3, for 2, and 1. Good. From here, remember we're just gonna let our right leg fall towards that right side, keeping our hips squared and grounded onto the mat. Pull back onto that ring, so feel that nice inner thigh stretch. Left arm can come out long. Just hold this for a minute, get that nice stretch, should feel good. And then let's bring that ring back up in front and switching hands. So left hand grabs that ring, right hand reaches long. And now we're gonna bring that ring over towards the left side. Our right hip can slightly come on up, but try to keep the shoulders nice and grounded onto that mat. So we're getting that nice IT band stretch. So outer thigh, our hip abductors, getting a nice stretch on that lower back too. For 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's bring that ring up and place it back into our right hand. So now I'm gonna go ahead, come on up, and I'm gonna roll onto my left side. And I'm up onto my shoulder, my forearm. And now we're just gonna go ahead and do those nice leg sweep circles. So I'm bringing that ring all the way up towards the ceiling. I'm dropping it right on top of my bottom leg and then swinging back. So this way we're able to get a little bit bigger circles than laying on our back. Try to keep this leg nice and strong. It's really long, doesn't have a bend. And I'm pushing through this left shoulder, I'm not crouching in. For 2, and 1. Let's reverse the direction, so other way. For 3, my hips are staying stacked. 2, and 1. Good. From here, we're gonna find that side plank. So I'm gonna press through this shoulder, reach my bottom leg out, and lift. And I'm just gonna pulse this leg back. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I'm gonna dip this left hip down. I'm really feeling that left oblique fire up. For 4, 3, 2, and 1, coming on down. Whew, those are easy, so if you stuck with me, good job. From here, now I'm gonna place my ring on top of my left ankle, and I'm gonna put my right ankle on top. So the ring's in between both ankles. I'm gonna stay on my forearm. Make sure your legs are nice and long, they're not bent. Rings in between both ankles. And let's just go ahead and find that inner thigh. So squeezing the ring in towards each other, firing up those inner thighs. You got it, keep breathing. For 5, keep your hips stacked. I'm not rolling out. Pushing through this left shoulder. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good, stay there. So now we're gonna keep the ring between the ankles. We're still on this left shoulder, forearm, sorry. We're gonna push through onto that left hand and reach towards our feet and come back down. So now we're doing leg lifts, really reaching and getting into this right oblique. Really lengthen through the spine from starting position. Push those feet in towards each other, lift and reach. Find that lower hip bone, and that lower rib where they meet. So really getting into that space. Good job, guys. Let's go for 4 more. 4. So you really have a right and left side body. 3. This was much easier on my right side. So 2 is a little bit more challenging on this side, which is normal. And 1, good, stay there. lift the leg and just pulse it up. So I'm on my left hip, hips are stacked, and I'm finding and going into that space. Hip and lower rib. Keeping both heels in space, squeezing that ring for 5. Push through this arm, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Whew, good job, guys. So let's come on up. And now we're gonna place this ring on the bottom. Sorry, we're gonna bring both feet in. So both feet go inside that ring and go ahead and find that space. From here, now bring your top foot out, and your top foot is just going to do that motion again. So inner thigh is still trying to activate and pull that ring down rather than that ankle. So flex the foot and pulse. Squeezing those glutes, lifting up on that pelvic floor for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Keep your foot there. Now the bottom foot comes up and down, up and down. So flex that bottom foot and have it reach the top of that ring and down. So feel that inner thigh, activate that bottom leg, inner thigh. Lengthen through that spine, keeping the hips stacked for 5, 4, 3, 2. Last one, keep it up and circle that leg. So you're really tracing the inside of that ring. It's much harder if you keep your hand on your waist or lift your hand up than keeping your hand down. So it's a lot more stability with the hand on the waist for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Let's go ahead and bring both legs in now. And we're gonna kind of come up onto that forearm again. And now we're going to bring both feet in and both feet out. So bending and stretching. Bending and stretching. So you can tell both hips, legs are in space, and I'm still on that left hip. I'm not rolling over. So feeling this oblique, fire up. Good. For 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. Extend the legs and pulse both ankles out. Hitting those hip abductors for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Both feet down and come on up. Good, so let's come on up, and now we're gonna be onto our knees, and we're gonna do some push-ups with our ring. So before we get started, you're gonna have the 2 sides of the nice padded, and you're gonna place one side right between the chest bones, so kind of on the chest plate, and then you're gonna place it down onto your mat. So there's 2 options. You can do it on your knees, which is gonna be the modified version, or you can come onto your toes like me. So you can go ahead and pick what you choose, what you want, and I'll show you both sides. So, placing that ring in between the chest, hands come nice and flat, and if you're with me, you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna push out into that nice plank, and from here, you're gonna push down and up. So you have the nice support of that ring pushing you down, but you can't come up too high, so really engage that core. So if you're with me, you're going onto your toes. This is too much. Come onto your knees and make sure you shift your weight forward. They're not stacked. Your knees and hips aren't stacked. Your knees and hips. Your knees are back and your weight is shifted forward. Hands are flat, and the same thing here is gonna come down and up. Really engaging that core. And if you're on your knees, you want a little bit of challenge, you can reach one right leg back and up. And you can switch legs. So whatever works for you here, I just gave you a few options. we're gonna go ahead and do those push-ups. So I'm gonna reset myself because I'm gonna do them on my toes into a nice plank position. So pick which version is best for you, and let's go ahead and get started. Really strong core, down and up for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come on down into a child's pose. Whew, those were pretty difficult, so I'm hoping you're able to stick with me, whichever version you guys chose. So now let's go ahead and we're gonna lay onto our stomachs. So I'm just gonna move my towel up. I'm gonna lay onto my stomach and I'm gonna use the length of my mat. And starting position, I'm going to put my ring in front of me and I'm holding onto the two sides of the padded sides. So starting position, hands in front like a Superman, really reaching those legs long, pointing the toes, and I'm gonna keep my head down, and I'm just gonna squeeze, push my pubic bone into that mat, and I'm just gonna lift my legs up. So I'm trying to lift my thighs up as high as possible, squeezing those glutes, lifting up on that pelvic floor, and I'm keeping my head down, and then lowering. Squeeze and lower. So it's not necessarily how high you can lift your legs. This will come with strength. It's really think about how long you can reach them towards that back room. That means you're really lengthening through the back of those legs and using those glutes to lift. And you really want to push your pubic bone into that mat. That's really going to help you lengthen through those legs. Let's go for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. So now we're going to add on, and now we're going to add lifting our chest. So starting position, everything is down. We're still holding onto our ring. I should have put my hair in a hair tie. Kind of regretting it. And now we're going to push, really put some pressure into that ring. So push your hands into it. So really trying to bring that ring in towards each other. So we'll also activate our shoulders and our pecs. So let's go ahead, push into that ring, push your pubic bone in, and let's lengthen up. Keep your eye gaze down at the floor, reach that ring long, lifting the thighs up and down. Inhale. And down. Good. Inhale up. And down. Let's do 2 more and we'll add on. So lift. Squeeze that ring. And down. And last one here, guys. Let's lift and squeeze that ring. Lengthen through the crown of the head. And you're gonna place your crown on and off. So the ring comes over the head and back. Stay in that nice little Viking boat position. Eye gaze stays down. Point those toes, squeeze those glutes. Lift that chest up high for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Keep that ring up and just drive that wheel for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come on down. Whew. Take a quick little breather here. And let's come on up. So, coming on up, let's grab that ring, and now we're gonna come onto our backs. So, let's sit tall on our sit bones, ring in hand. And then let's slowly find our C curve as we roll on down, slowly one vertebrae down onto our mat, the ring between our ankles. From here, we're just gonna start slow with some ab work. So we're gonna keep our arms flat onto the floor, our mat. Our head's gonna stay down here. So think about really, let's take that and find that core engagement. So our natural spine has a natural curve in it. That's a neutral spine. And then we kind of want to shift our hip bones up. So think about bringing them up towards your belly button, or someone's going to punch you in the stomach. And you feel that gap between your lower back and that mat close. So there shouldn't be any gap between your lower back and that mat when we are in imprint. So our core is engaged here. From here, find that core engagement, hands are flat, and we're just gonna squeeze that ring, and we're gonna lower down, touch the toes, and up. Down, and up. Keeping that core engaged the entire time. So you shouldn't feel this in the lower back. You should feel it in your core. So if you feel it in your lower back, remember, shift your hips back. Feel that nice little pelvic tilt. So, and then you should feel this in the core. So we're just gonna take it nice and slow. We're just dipping the toes down and up. Down and up. We will add on to this. Let's go for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's bring our legs up. And now let's bring our head, neck, and shoulders up. So find that nice flexion. Our chin is not dipped. It's not dipped into our chest. Think about just relaxing it, looking towards your knees, reaching those arms out long. So we're going to bring our legs out, lift them up to the ceiling, bend them in. So we're just lengthening those legs up, bend them in, and push out. This is too much for you, you can keep your head down. But if you want that core challenge, you're gonna lift your head, neck, and shoulders up. Keeping the legs nice and strong. Think about really pushing into the ring. For 3, 2, and 1. Let's reverse. So now I'm gonna drop my legs straight, bend them into chest, and bring them up to the ceiling. Use your breath. Let's go for 4, 3, 2, and last one. Keep it out, and now just pulse this ring in towards each other, using those inner thighs. For 5, 4, engage that core, 3, 2, and 1. Bring it in, and just take a quick little breather. Whew, I definitely feel that. Good job, guys. So let's go ahead and bring our legs back up to tabletop, and let's place our rings on the outside. So the rings on the outside of our ankles. So both of our feet are inside that ring. So now we're just going to bend and stretch. Bend and stretch. So we're just lengthening through those legs and back up. Like I said, this is too much, you can keep your head down. For 5, 4, 3, 2, last one, keep it out, and just pulse those feet out now towards the outsides of the room. Feel those hips, abductors. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring it in and shake it off. Good, guys. So now we're going to go ahead and do some rollbacks. So let's keep our legs. You want to keep your ring inside, your feet, inside that ring. Our arms are going to come long out behind us. In front of us. Keeping them flat. You're going to use your arms to help us get through this motion. So now you're going to use everything you have to pull that ring back overhead. See if you can tap your toes behind you. And then shift your feet. So my right foot's in front and my left leg's back. And then I'm gonna roll on down and then bring it back to parallel. So I'm gonna shift back and I'm coming onto my upper thoracic. Try to stay off of that cervical spine. And now I'm shifting my legs. So now my left leg's in front, my right leg's back, and I'm gonna slowly use my core to roll on down and back to parallel. So the ring gets messed up, it's okay. And now let's go ahead and just go at your own pace. So it's one vertebrae at a time, and lower those legs and lift. Roll back on up, tap those toes, shift those legs, left leg in front now. One vertebrae. And then back to parallel. So let's go for one more on each side. This should feel really nice. If it's too much for you and you can't get your legs overhead, just bring them up and then roll back. And if that's still too much, you can just keep your legs up and lower. Let's do it one more time. And then last time on this left side. So I'm gonna roll back, tap my toes, shift my left leg in front, pull into that ring, and slowly roll on down. Good. I'm gonna keep my feet inside of that ring, and I'm gonna come on up. So now, I'm just going to be leaning onto my forearms. So I'm pitched up and I'm pushing through these arms. I'm not crunching or slouching into those shoulders. Really lengthen through those shoulders. Keep your shoulders out of ears. So you don't want it like this, push through. And with our ring with our feet inside of that ring, pushing through, we're just going to out and in. So bend and stretch. Still engaging that core. And see if you can drive that ring and in. So push out, rotate, rotate, and in. Out, rotate, rotate, and in. So I'm really still trying to push my feet away from each other, so that's how I'm able to keep this ring on. So a lot of muscles working here. Let's go for 3, 2, and 1. Good. So push out, and now see if you can come on up. So sorry, my ring keeps coming off. And I'm gonna come back onto my forearm and onto my hands to a nice little ab crunch. And then lengthen back. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead and lay down. Whew. I definitely feel that one, so hopefully you guys do too. Good guys, last exercise here, okay? Let's go ahead and get into some bridge work. Burn up those inner thighs. So we're gonna lay onto our backs again. Feet are flat, and we're gonna place that ring between our knees. So right above our knees. Hands are gonna be flat. And now, before we get started, you really wanna push that ring in toward each other. So you want to elongate it. See if you can break it. Really use those inner thighs to activate, strengthening that pelvic floor, lifting up, squeezing those glutes. Have your feet flat, closest towards your bum here. And then we're gonna shift let's do that pelvic tilt again. So we're in that neutral spine, so that natural curve. You'll have a little gap between your lower back and that mat. So I'm gonna do that pelvic tilt. So I'm gonna close that gap, tilting my pelvis up towards my belly button, squeezing my glutes, and now I'm going to lift my hips all the way up, and I'm still gonna keep my chest really, you don't wanna activate the chest. So soften the chest plate, push into the mat with your heels, squeeze those glutes and reach those knees all the way to that front wall in front of you. Squeeze, pulls, 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 and then roll down. So let's do that again. A lot of motion here. Let's go ahead, squeeze those glutes, relax the chest, push those hips up, reach those knees long, and then pulls, pulls, pulls. So really push through those heels, squeezing those glutes, lifting up in that shoulder bridge, and then activating and hitting those inner thighs, pulsing that ring in. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slowly roll on down. Good. So now you got the motion, and now let's go ahead and do a few more of these. So press through those heels, lifting up, relax that chest, walk those feet a little bit closer together so you can really get those inner thighs to work and move this ring. Squeeze those glutes, push through those heels, stay high in that bridge for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, roll on down. Whew, feeling these, so good job. Let's do one more, okay? So let's set ourselves up, squeeze those inner thighs together, push those heels down, and let's lift those hips all the way up. Relax that chest. You're not puffing the chest out. Relax that rib cage onto the mat. Push through those heels. Reach those knees out for 5. Pulse. 4. Whew. Push higher in that bridge. For 3. For 2. And 1. Slowly roll on down and remove that ring. Holy moly, I definitely feel my inner thighs fire up there. Good, let's just take a quick little stretch here, guys. Let's place the ring on the bottom of both of our feet. So that soft pad on one side, we're holding on to that other side. And lengthen those legs. So try to keep the back flat here. Your tailbone is onto the mat, and you're just pulling back onto that ring, getting that nice stretch on the back of the legs. So just pull back and feel those legs stretch out. So a lot of leg work and a lot of ab work. We hit some back. So I hope you guys had a really good workout with me today. I hope you enjoyed this. Just taking a nice little stretch. Bend those knees in and just pull that ring in with your knees bent. So get the nice hip flexor stretch here too. Good, and then roll into a ball and see if you can roll on up and all the way up. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this class using the magic circle, the Pilates ring, or I call it the ring of fire. That was about a 45-minute full body mat workout. And if you like this class, please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And I will see you guys Thursday for a cardio hip Pilates class. So every Tuesday and Thursday, a mat class will definitely be uploaded onto my channel at 4:30, and in between we'll do some reformer work. So if you have any comments or suggestions, please leave it in my comment section and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks, guys.